Hi everybody, this is P. Hong Chen. Welcome to Socializing Across the Enterprise. In part 2 of our talk, we'll lay out the 7 key habits for making your ESN successful. Furthermore, we'll share with you a little bit more details of our own experience in dealing with these issues. At the end of part 1, we talked about an enterprise adopting ESN could often turn into a race of jumping through hurdles after hurdles. In fact, we've heard of a lot of horror stories that many ESN deployments simply die on the vine after only 3 to 6 months. So why is this so difficult? I believe it's mainly because that it involves a lot of crucial changes in our work habits, both individually and as an organization, which is always very, very challenging. Here at BroadVision, for example, we found the following especially difficult. First is the role change. In the classic Web 1.0 days, we have IT building the website, marketing, publishing content, and then for the rest, 99% of us, we're simply acting happily as end users. But in an ESN social networking world, we're encouraging everyone to take on a combined role of being both a site builder, content publisher, and end user, which of course is quite challenging. Then there's the enterprise mindset about worries on abusive or offensive content, as well as all the other security issues now that all this is serviced over the cloud. Finally, there's the cultural issue, moving from a need to know to need to share basis along and away from the email culture that is very, very entrenched. Specifically about this, which I personally have found to be the most challenging, is indeed from the traditional management paradigm of this need to know culture, meaning in terms of information and knowledge sharing, we're basically sending them out on a threaded store and forward basis, ending up with a number of individual silos. Therefore, looking things up or making sense out of a history becomes very, very difficult. Moving into cloud computing and Web 2.0, we now need to encourage people to share their knowledge and information as a default. And through that, we can have consolidated interaction and collaboration based on various defined relationships and communities, such as something that you can do through the Clearview ESN. However, this is easier said than done because an old habit like email really dies hard. So over at BroadVision, after 9 months into this, we have developed 7 key habits that we think can be put in practice to really resolve and overcome these hurdles. So let's look at what this list looks like. First is a mandate. Whether you are a CEO or a team lead at the grassroots level, if you're convinced that Clearview can help you, you should make your determination commitment very clear. Then you want to back out with a strategy, however, attainable strategy with well-aligned goals and well-articulated specifics. Then you can set expectations, but starting low, followed by putting your fingers on the pulse all the time through self-assessments and polls. Next is contribution. Perhaps most importantly, you want to enlist your opinion leaders and key knowledge managers to become anchor tenants within your network. Also establish some communities ahead of time with populated content. And then in the first several months, you want to run this on an editorial calendar basis, a clocked basis, so that you have enough fresh and rich content to draw people back. With that, then you can try to promote full participation. What we found to be most effective is to offer people ability to track what they're doing with activity and participation, and also encourage people using this in as creative a way as possible. Probably one of the most effective things that we found is actually competition. Team members and team versus teams are always quite competitive. So to allow them to be able to accrue activity points through various competitive either games or with true rewards and awards are very, very effective. Last but not least, we found that if we just keep at it and really learn from our own mistakes, eventually you will persevere. So let's look at some details. First is mandate. In our own situation, we are in an software industry that's going through huge changes, new paradigm, new competition. So we, no matter what, need to change in order to be able to cope, becoming able to do more with less, and through a much more distributed global footprint to be able to serve our customers everywhere at a much more affordable cost to them. We mentioned earlier that Clearview is gaining huge momentum out there, so needless to say, we need to practice our own religion so that we can stay ahead of the curve. So our management got together at the beginning of this year and reached a consensus without any exception that we need to deploy this to anyone, anytime, anywhere within the company. We went live in March of this year and have been on it every day since. Our strategy is very simple. We ask every department in the company to come up with a game plan and use cases across our entire ecosystem of intranet, extranet, internet. So for instance, sales and HR come out with their own use cases for an intranet type of deployment. R&D and FA came up with something, but that would also include extranet for our partners, as well as our auditors and lawyers and people like that. And then with our support and marketing organization, they're able to come out with use cases that would be deployed primarily through extranet with our customers and internet for outbound prospecting purposes. So as a result, it came up with 4 major networks within Clearview. The main, our intranet, one for our partner extranet, and then 2 other networks for our Clearview customers, as well as our marketing efforts. We further then look at the capabilities within Clearview in various workspaces, as well as the types of collaboration, all the tools and widgets available. We identify clearly what might be needed for each scenario. For example, here is a possible configuration to construct war rooms for sales. There is one for water cooler on the company's HR and culture building. Here is idea creation and generation. And finally, for example, in FNA, our own global governance activities. Here are some examples that we are now operating day in, day out, very active. Our main intranet, both here and for China, our outbound marketing network, and our Clearview customer support network. Expectation, we really want to start low and aim high. We believe very much in keeping our fingers on the pulse. Therefore, we do full participated surveys once a month, questions in 3 areas along participation, competence, and confidence. We don't really shout it out loud, but we believe as long as we can achieve an 80% positive sort of feedback within 6 months, we actually would be very happy. We started this in July in terms of polling, and we're very happy with the results so far, which we'll discuss with you in part 3. This is all done within the Clearview community called user surveys. Finally, in terms of contribution, we have built very compelling content from the homepage and down. Knowledge managers sort of feature blogs, regional events, active members and communities, polls, MBOs, news and essentials, learning, tweeting, etc. We also realize the importance of setting up some anchor communities, structurally top-down, company-wide issues, departmental issues, regional issues, and social issues. Finally, like I said earlier, running this like clockwork on a calendar basis also will be very critical for driving the content and crossing the chasm. Let's take a short break here, and please come back for part 3. Thank you very much.